Hey guys, what's up? So, I have a little friend with me here. One game that is considered by many as the hardest RPG ever made, Dark Souls. I have been playing this game for almost the entire day and I already have a good, solid opinion on it. The first time I played this game was a long time ago, around 2 or 3 years ago I believe, and I only played it for like an hour or less and I ditched it because I was in a hurry and it was just not my kind of game. It's not that I'm against Western styled RPGs. This is a JRPG because it was made in Japan by Japanese people, but it's made with Western influences. And I have played games like that. I have my own personal favorite so far. And the thing is that time, 3 years ago, I am not a fan of slow-paced combat style games. So for me that was like an experience of meh. I really liked the graphics and the story looked really interesting. So I have kind of praised this game over the past few months in some other videos ever since I revived this channel and turned it to English. So what I wanted to talk about today was my second experience, which was today, because today I decided to make sort of like a more in-depth gameplay of it. You know, I prepared to die mentally, psychologically. I said to myself, I'm gonna play this game and I'm gonna see if it's really that hard and I'm gonna try my best. And it is really fucking hard, seriously. But the question here is it the hardest RPG of all time? I don't think so. I don't think it is. At least I have played harder games than this, much harder. And the thing about Dark Souls, which is what I want to talk about today, is why is this game so hard? I mean, is this the hardest RPG of all time? It's not. If we can take into consideration a lot of PC RPGs from the past, they are. I don't think I have played, but I know for a fact, thanks to some research and some friends' opinions, that they are way harder than this. Nevertheless, this is one of the most popular, hardest RPGs ever. That is a fact, an unquestionable fact. It's pretty infamous precisely because of that, because it's a really hard game. I have never played Demon Souls, so I don't know if that one's harder than this. I played Dark Souls 2 and it's just as hard, and I have never played Dark Souls 3. I played Bloodborne, and Bloodborne was really hard too, but again, I don't have that game. I only played it for like half an hour or an hour at my friend's house, and yeah, it was pretty tough. But maybe I will make a video about that game one day. For now, Dark Souls. Is it the hardest RPG ever made? No. But why is he so damn hard? Well, this is my opinion. I am not an expert on this game. I haven't finished it and I probably never will. I didn't even make it halfway through. I just played for a few hours. I didn't count them, but I think it was about 6 hours or so, I believe. And boy, was I sweating all day. It was a really tough experience. It's a really hard game. But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but this is my insight. I think the game's hard because the controls in this game, in my opinion, are somewhat bad. But bad made on purpose so that the game can be hard. Okay, so in my first experience many years ago when I first played it, that's one of the first things that turned me off. I'm used to, when I'm playing hack and slash games or action RPGs, I'm used to using the square button on the controller, the square or the X button for hitting or for different kinds of attacks. Circle is most of the time for jumping, or for dodging or evading. In Dark Souls is the same, but for attacking is the R1 and the strong attack is the R2. And for your shield you gotta use the L1, and to hit with the shield or stomp with your shield or whatever is the second one, the L2. And I know there are a lot of action games like that, especially in the Xbox 360, especially first-person shooters. So I rarely play those games, so I wasn't used to those kinds of controllers. And to make matters worse, once I got the gist of them, it was still hard to get used to that. You know, I was just trying my best and to synchronize with the camera movement, because I don't think the camera movement is bad. It's not bad, but it's not good either. In my opinion, it's not good either. And I was having some troubles with it whenever I was running or, you know, walking around and some enemy was behind me or in front of me or by my side. It was really hard to focus the camera instantly. There's a button to focus the camera right on the enemy, I know that, but that's another thing that I'm not used to it. Once I got the gist of that, it became slightly easier, but it was still a pain in the ass to control that game, to control my character. I chose a warrior, so I don't know if playing as other types of jobs or classes makes the game easier or harder, but I chose the standard character, which was the warrior with a sword and a shield. And throughout all the damn game, the short gameplay that I played, I was having the same problem over and over again. The camera and the controls, it was just so hard to get used to them. And once I did, it was still hard nonetheless. So it is a really hard game, especially for those people who are not hardcore hack and slash players or Western style action RPGs, which I'm a perfect example of that. I'm not used to playing that. So if that has a lot to do on why this game is so hard, then it's a pretty valid point. It's legit. Why is it so damn hard? But I insist, I think the controllers are a little bad, made on purpose, bad on purpose. So it can be quite a chore to get used to them and to fight properly. For example, you start the game, well, I don't want to give you any spoilers, but you start the game and you get these messages on the floor, which are the tutorials that use the square button to use the R1 button to attack, or the R2 button to attack, up for a strong attack, etc. And once you get into the boss fight, the first boss fight, it's really hard, and to me it became a trial and error kind of thing, because the first time I got into a fight with this boss, I lost. The second time, the same. The third time, the same. I lost miserably. So I think it was a trial and error kind of situation, especially because there's some checkpoints. Checkpoints always leave you at the bonfire, which is not exactly a save point, but a recover point. And you restart the game from there, and you can go straight to the boss, which is exactly what I did at the beginning, at the first boss. And what I experienced was that little addiction that kept me playing over and over again until I beat the boss. And it was quite a satisfying experience. So that's why I think this game is so overly praised, overly hyped, because it's not that great, but it really is one of those games, it's one of those really challenging games that keeps you playing it, because there's just something about the combat, the battle system, that keeps you enthralled to it, you know, not exactly addicted, but maybe slightly addicted to it. So you can just keep playing and playing again, because it has, as a matter of fact, that trial and error system. And that's what makes this game so fabulous. However, on the negative side, I don't want to be, you know, I don't hate this game at all. I liked it, and I plan on continuing on at some point. I plan on going back to it one day, but the big negative aspect I notice in this game is that not only the controllers, in my opinion, are a little bad, but I think the story progression, I mean, the game is an RPG, it is an RPG. I mean, that's debatable. I know a lot of people don't consider this an RPG at all, but I do. And I don't want to explain that because it will take me an entire video to do that. We're focusing on how hard it is and is it the hardest. So I think the story progression of this game and the gameplay progression is very slow and it's not that good. That's why I've always thought this game is overrated. It is overrated in my opinion. It's not as great as many people make it seem so, in my opinion. And it's a good game because it has a lot of positive things like the trial and error addiction, like the combat system. It may seem dull and slow at the beginning, and it is slow, but you kind of get used to it and you start liking it, and you fight these enemies because almost every single normal enemy in the game is hard as fuck. So you really want to beat this, you really want to get through this, you know. So that's what made me realize that Dark Souls is actually a pretty good game, but overrated anyway. It's not that great anyways. So is it the hardest JRPG ever made? No, it is not. It is really freaking hard, but it's not the hardest. It could be one of the hardest games ever made, and that's a fact. And like I said, one of the most popular, or at the same time infamous, hardest RPGs ever made. So Dark Souls, good game. That was my experience. The hardest, you know, like I said, is one of the hardest. Wait. The hardest games? The hardest RPGs? The hardest JRPGs? Top 10 hardest JRPGs?